This message is addressed to Bentgate Brewing. We need 3 kegs of Compound 87 in the next 1/3 moon cycle. You must comply with this message.
I hope you enjoyed that little cyberpunk intro. And my name is Dan, and this channel is called Bentgate Brewing. We are a small nano brewery located in Norway, started by 2 Americans who wanted to find out if we could start a brewery. Not only do we show how to start a brewery and how to brew, but we also do a lot of fun adventure brews like brewing on the side of a cliff.
We're Bentgate Brewing, and we're brewing beer on the side of a cliff.
Because why wouldn't you? Anyways, first I'll quickly actually go through the brew for this video, and then we'll actually talk about the delivery of this beer to this really cool cyberpunk video event hosted by a company in Norway called Vjus. And they are a production studio and have a YouTube channel showing you how to start a production studio, as well as probably the most talented filmmakers that I've actually met in person. We deliver this beer to actually be served at this event, where another incredible creator friend of ours named Nate, who has a channel called Nate's Forge, actually forged and built a robot to serve this beer.
Can it high five itself?
No.
Hey! Get a big knife! Give it a knife! Bam! Get fucked, peasant!
Both of those videos will be linked, and I'll actually talk a little bit more about them later in the video. But let's get started with the brewing. So first we start with our main ingredient, water. One thing that's important is that we also add brewing salts to our water, and this is to actually enhance the flavors and kind of can bring out different qualities in different types of beers. We mix these to the water and start heating it up to 68 degrees Celsius, and then move our attention to the grain. We ended up with 13 kilograms total of malt. So actually in this beer, we ended up adding wheat and also oats. However, in hindsight, I'd recommend not doing this and just keep this as a simple base malt, because we really want this beer to actually be see-through and the malt really won't shine because we are doing a sour beer. So then once we've weighed out all of our malt, then we grind it up and we put that malt right into the water. This step is called the mash step, where we're actually converting starches in the malt to sugars and then extracting those sugars. And those sugars will later become our alcohol. We mashed at around 66 degrees Celsius for 1 hour. And then after that, did what we call is a sparge, where with warmer water at 75 degrees Celsius, rinse the grain of the sugar to collect those final sugars to turn into alcohol. After that, it's quite simple. We just heat up the sugar water, which we call wort, to a boil. And then we only boiled it for 30 minutes. The main point of boiling it is to actually disinfect the wort, so that we have nothing growing that will outcompete our yeast. After that, we cool down the wort to the yeast temperature, which was approximately 20 degrees Celsius, and then pitch the yeast. Here we added Lallemand's Philly sour yeast. This is actually a yeast that both sours the beer and also converts the sugars to alcohol at the same time. All right, so now we have finished fermented beer, and the next step is to add them to our kegs, as well as add them with the fruit juice. So because we added things that kill the fermentation and kill the yeast, actually the fruit puree itself adds some sweetness to balance some of the sour beer. So we added both of those straight into the keg, as you can see here. And next, we have to add our glitter. All right, so now we're adding this confectioner glitter to our keg. And ideally, this is what's gonna give us that shimmer. And I wanted to actually add it a bit later and start carbonating the beer first because I didn't actually want this to dissolve in the alcohol, but maybe it wouldn't. I didn't really want to take a chance and find out. So we are now gonna add this to our keg here and hope we don't create a big giant burst of beer everywhere because we're adding all these little nucleation sites into this beer. So well, let's just add it. Purge our CO2. Open the keg up. Now we hope and pray. Do a little bit of a test. All right, let's see if we get a big glitter bomb here. So far, so good. Gonna stir it with a sanitized rod so we just don't have this island here. Let's see that there is a bit of foaming, but not too bad. So cap this off. Repressurize. All right, now we're off to Oslo and going to deliver our beers. So, let's go. You can see this has been sitting in my garage for a bit, so well, I should clean that. Some years of spilled beer there. Better time than ever. Yeah, we got the robot head, and is that an arm?
This is the moving the beer can, like glass arm. All this came on a plane.
Yeah, I'm sure the security people were your best friend.
When I was checking it, they were like, "Why is it so heavy? What's in this?" And I was like, "It's a robot." And a robot, what was it for? Like serving beer.
That's the body with all of the controls and stuff.
Yeah, so these are the drivers and the power supplies. I dread to think what they must have been thinking at Edinburgh Airport, like, brown man disassembled weird ass electronic and metal thing.
Today in the
just
news.
Before he puts it onto the plane.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we're going to take the beer lines from the tap through here, through that hole right there. Pow. So we actually learned a lot with this brew because, as I mentioned in the brewing, we actually tried to make this more of a hazy style beer because I thought it would have kind of a cool, like, opaque, silvery sort of look. However, the problem was that it ended up being so opaque, especially with the fruit juice, that you actually really couldn't see far into the beer and see much glitter at all. And it just looked like it had glitter around the rim of the glass. It was almost indistinguishable when you had lighting on it from the actual condensation on the glass. So in hindsight, as I said before, I would recommend that you do this kind of to be a clear beer and have it as clear as possible. That way you can have the glitter be a lot more impressive looking when you finally serve it. Another thing that I learned is that I was a bit afraid that the glitter might sort of dissolve a bit or change its characters throughout time. So I wanted the glitter to be as fresh as possible, as close to the event as possible. So I basically partially carbonated the beer, and then after that, added the glitter slowly, which did create some bubbles, but I think in hindsight, you could just totally skip that and actually add the glitter right away, as well as the fruit juice. Another lesson I also learned is I got kind of annoying filtering the fruit juice through a sieve, so I ended up just pouring it in. But that also gave us a bit of headaches on the serving day, where sometimes you'd actually get clogs from the seeds and stuff like that, which I should have known better. But as you can see, actually the glitter does settle. And this is not actually the beer. This is Fanta that looks a lot like the beer, except a little bit less cloudy. So I'm using that for reference. But what you can see is that this does settle over time. This has been sitting for about maybe 2 days. So it's important that you mix this up by either shaking the keg or even adding it per serving for your beer to actually have the maximum effect. But just watch this for a sec, just watch. But actually another thing that I found is this type of glitter is sort of a dark glitter, so that you see that I went from this pink to this darker purple. And I know it's a bit hard to show up on camera, but this thing is like glitter and swirly as fuck. In case you're wondering, again, even though I've said it before, this is confectioner glitter. So this is glitter that is made to go on cakes, to be painted. It is edible. It is simply minerals. And doesn't change the flavor of your beer at all. I also recommend playing with different types of glitter. So there's also gold glitter. There's actually more silvery glitter than this. Unfortunately, it wasn't available at the time. God, this mic just keeps flipping over. Yeah, God, stupid mic. Oh man, they should serve Fanta with glitter more often. Makes you taste the diabetes more. Woo. Otherwise, both the other collab videos will be linked below, and you should check them out. I'll link them also at the end of this video. They are incredible. So one is actually building a cyberpunk set indoors from scratch, and then having a 3D tracked camera that is digitally connected to a computer that is rendering a background with the perspective of a camera in real time. But you should really check it out. It is incredible, and one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. They actually had to tear down this set days later for another shoot, showing how incredibly talented these people are. And then the other video that you should check out is actually forging a robot to serve these beers using automation, beep boop, meep morps, things that I don't really even know how to do. Completely made by hand, from scratch. Incredible. Blown away. Like, definitely feel like the odd one out on this three-way collab, if you will. Anyways, that's it from me. Thank you so much for joining, and see you next round. Bye.